So I've talked to some of you so far and all that, but I'm Deputy Mike Ayers. I am Patrol K-9, the Sheriff's Office here. I've been at the Sheriff's Office about 10 years now, in law enforcement for 13. So, still kind of new, but not new. Kind of getting over that hump and got some good experience. Been fortunate enough to be on the emergency response team now for going on almost 6 years now. So, currently in training to be one of our next team leaders on the team, which we'll talk about when we get a little more in depth with the presentation. There will be a test after this, so I expect everybody to pay attention. So, Goodhue County Multi-Jurisdiction Emergency Response Team, GC MJERT. That's kind of what people refer to us as. I expect you to know that. So,
Oh, sure.
So getting started here, so introduction here, we're going to talk about the origins, the purpose of why we have an emergency response team in Goodhue County, what our overall mission is for the response team, area of operation, like I said in the name, the mutual, the partners and the agreement that, sorry I'm not used to these smart boards, so I'm probably going to do something here. What our capabilities are, what we do, what some of our functions are, how the team is kind of configured and made up. Training. It's very important, especially in this type of unit. Our equipment that we use, our operational overview, recent events that we've had. We'll talk about some of the stuff that we've done that you may have seen, may have not seen, stuff in the media, and our activation, kind of the justification on why the emergency response team is coming out to go handle an incident. All right, because it's something that is not taken lightly. A lot of phones ring. A lot of people make decisions, and then ultimately that decision is whether we go or not. So, so what is SWAT? So Emergency Response Team. SWAT is Special Weapons and Tactics. That's what you guys are more familiar with out in the media, movies. They have a lot of TV shows, movies, all that kind of stuff that depicts SWAT in a certain type of thing. I can tell you that is not true at all. All right, so what you see on those TV shows and all that is a little bit of kind of, the equipment and all that is kind of close, but what you see on TV shows is not what SWAT really really is. So, so yeah, throughout this presentation you'll see some pictures. This is a house that we trained at down in Mazeppa. I know somebody said was from that area. So what we look for on the emergency response team is we're always looking for new areas to train, right? We can only do so much with what we have here. We understand it, we know it. We want to get something that we don't know. So a lot of times we reach out to the community. People may have, in this situation here, they had just built a brand new house on their same property, and they're going to let us come in and train, and then the fire department's going to come in and burn it down and train, and then they're going to get rid of it. So before they get rid of the house, there's two teams, ultimately firefighters and us, that were able to come in and utilize that for a training. So, and that happens more often than what people kind of think and understand. We have a training coming up this week. We'll be over in Lake City at a building over there that it sounds like they may be restoring and want us to come in and kind of utilize it for training. So,
is that your dog?
How do I go back here?
Who's the black one?
Nope. So that's K-9 Ambush. He is now retired. He's been retired for almost, coming up on close to 2 years now. So, all right, our purpose. So the team was developed back in 1992. I think that's when they started to realize that this is something that Goodhue County needed. When we say mutual aid, we also provide for Wabasha County as well. So Goodhue County, Wabasha County, our two counties combined, and we're sole purpose is to respond to those. Made up in our unit, we have a lot of different jurisdictions. So we have the Goodhue County Sheriff's Office, the Red Wing Police Department, the Wabasha County Sheriff's Office, Kenyon Police Department, Red Wing Fire Department, and even Mayo Clinic Health Systems, Red Wing here. They provide a medic for us. So we'll get into that a little bit further here. And our main purpose is we respond to critical incidents inside Goodhue and Wabasha counties. And to even go on top of that, if we're requested outside of the counties, whether that's St. Paul, which we recently had to do with everything going on with the George Floyd incidents and all that up in the cities, we did go up and assist there. So we kind of have an asset stuff we'll talk about, and I think that's a little bit further into this PowerPoint. So, submission of the Goodhue County Multi-Jurisdictional Emergency Response Team to support the jurisdictions in the Goodhue and Wapsie counties with a tactical response to critical incidents and provide assistance to other agencies outside of Goodhue and Wapsie County, requesting mutual aid assistance from us. Our ultimate mission is just to save lives.
Cool.
That's a nice effect
Hey, right? Yeah, see?
Like you planned that one.
Alright, so, like I said, special weapons and tactics, that's the SWAT terminology. We don't refer to ourselves as a SWAT team because to be a SWAT team, you have to have a certain amount of things that you're capable of doing. And we'll talk about that further. So right now, Goodhue County, we're an emergency response team because a lot of that has to do with personnel and what you're capable of providing. Alright, so I think the only actual two SWAT teams that are still kind of in effect are Minneapolis and St. Paul. And they refer to themselves as SWAT. Just because of the manpower that they have and the capabilities that they're able to do. So there's different tiers, and Goodhue County, Wapsie County, we fall into that emergency response team. So Rochester and Olmsted counties down there, they're kind of combined with their two departments. They're an emergency response unit, which is a little bit higher than the response team. All right, prepare for that test. Let's go back here. Make sure I'm covering everything on there. When we talk about special tools and equipment, you know, we don't carry so much more stuff that we don't have the capability of having on patrol side of things. We just have a little bit more of it and a lot more training with it, if that makes sense. All right, currently we have in our patrol cars, a lot of the stuff that we use on the emergency response team are all in our patrol cars for patrol response. All right, the specially trained, organized manpower. The problem-solving matrix that we'll talk about later on here too is when the emergency response team is called, it means that we're at that level of patrol that can no longer work within their capabilities. All right, does that make sense? So patrol is only required to respond to so many things and be able to handle those incidents. When it gets to the point that patrol can't do that anymore, now that you can have somebody come in, the emergency response team has like a specialized unit that's trained for that kind of situation. All right, we're not going to try to throw our patrol officers into a situation that they can't have the tools or are performed to train. So that's where the emergency response team would come in.
So, such as like hostages and bomb threats and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yep, and we'll get into all that, and that's exactly what you're thinking.
Okay.
That's our patrol, very good patrol officers. They're trained in a lot of stuff. Just unfortunately, you just can't get to the next. You know, it requires special people, special training to be able to accomplish some of those incidents. All right, trained, and this is an important one, validated tactics. All right, so the stuff we do is not just anything that we normally try to just make up and try to do and everything. They're validated. All right, they've been used throughout the nation, throughout. We'll talk more about kind of like the training organizations that we follow here in Goodhue County, but they're validated. They're kind of tested and true to. Make it a tactic for us to use. All right, we're just not doing anything that we're making up here on the street or anything like that. This is all validated stuff that's been utilized and from things that we've learned before. So those are referred to as TTPs is how we refer to them. So as you can tell, there's a common thing here. We're using a lot of abbreviations, and so layered contingency plan. What we refer to that is we always start with the lowest thing that we need to do, right? Whether that's just talking to somebody, right? Getting on the phone, talking to them. We always start low, right? The layered contingency is we're prepared to go higher if we need to, and that all depends on how the situation is developing. So, and I'll talk more about that with a certain incident we just had recently down in Pond Island. Less lethal, those are all different, you know, you guys are probably more familiar with when we refer to less lethal tasers, our spray that we have, pepper balls, a new thing that's kind of been developing throughout the nation now. We'll talk more about pepper ball. The team approach, it's very big. We kind of solve the problem as a team, all right? A lot of people that are involved, and it's not, like I said, it's not just an individual thing. Emergency operations, you see all those things over that you guys learned about last week. It's the same thing for the emergency response team. Command together or making decisions together on what's best for the best outcome. All right. So same thing. tornado comes through, they're making decisions what they need to do. Same thing with emergency response team. People are there making decisions as a team to figure out how we're gonna get the best result. And that goes into the collective planning. And we'll talk about the different kind of mission sets that the emergency response team has. Coming up here in a little bit. Yeah, so operational support functions. We are supporting the patrol. We're supporting the other mission capabilities that they're not able to do. Alright? And again, we're coming back to our mission. Mitigate the risk and ultimately save lives. Alright, area of operation. So obviously, just even as I am as a patrol deputy, I'm licensed by the state. We could be requested to go up to Lake of the Woods, which I doubt is going to happen because there's a lot more teams that are a lot closer than us. It all depends on the situation, right? So we primarily operate in the Goodhue, Wabasha area. Like I said, recently we were up in the cities assisting with after the George Floyd stuff going on up there. We work closely with a lot of the teams around us, whether that's Dakota County and also Rochester and Olmsted. We train with them. We kind of do a mutual aid training where we try to do at least once a year. We get the teams together and prepare for an incident. And that just happened recently in Pine Island. And we'll talk about that. So we know what they can offer, they know what we can offer. And a lot of times it just needs manpower. So kind of look around, we work closely with Olmsted and Dakota County. And we'll talk more about that once we get into, as I explained before, the emergency response team, unit, SWAT team. It all depends on how many people you have and what you're capable of doing. So, there it is. So remember this. I'm going to ask you at the end here. So like I said before, this is what we're made up of. This is currently who we have on our teams. Every time it kind of fluctuates with, we've had Plainview officers from the Plainview Police Department. Red Wing, Canna Falls has had an officer on there. It all depends on how they can provide in their personnel based on their staffing levels as well. So, alright, so somebody said it earlier, hostage rescue and all that kind of stuff. So here's some of our primary mission capabilities. Establish tactical command, we call it TOC. That's more so of the command area and everything with dispatch. Alright, so they're the ones that everything goes through as far as radio traffic, establishing a perimeter. We always call it like the 4 C's, containment, right? We need to contain that situation and provide a safety area for everybody else that's not involved in it. So, patrol, we do this all the time. We'll set up a perimeter. We'll have that perimeter patrol, but we'll also have an inner perimeter with the SWAT team where we're evacuating houses, doing whatever we need to do to make that area safe for everybody involved. Hostage rescue, emergency response, barricaded subjects, sniper operations, civil unrest, which George Floyd stuff, that's what we were requested to go up and help with. High-risk warrant service. This is something that is probably one of our more frequent things that we do for the emergency response team, and we'll talk more about that. High-risk apprehension and tracking. As a canine officer, this is something that I can kind of go in a little bit more detail on. If we're bringing the SWAT team out or the response team out for somebody that may have done something out there in the woods, right? I have a partner that is capable of using a nose that a lot better than I, that can kind of give us an idea that somebody's out there or where they went. So we'll utilize that. We train for it monthly on our tactics and how we approach those situations, because the event that we're out there as a SWAT team and with the canine aspect of it, that dog is going to bring us to the area of danger, and we have to be ready for that. So we train on that pretty frequently, and we cover everything from the rural to the woodland operations. So high-risk security, VIP, with elections and all that, presidents come in, or they go to Rochester. A lot of times you've seen them come from the cities down, or they'll stop in Canna Falls and all that. All that has security and a protection where I've been involved in some of those briefings when, I don't know if you guys remember when President Obama came down to Canna Falls and stopped there. I was a Canna Falls officer at the time, so I got to sit in with the Secret Service and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot that is involved with that. They literally shut down the highway at every area where nobody can get on. So it's just the president coming down the highway, and I've seen what they do to do that. So a lot of times it's not just the emergency response team getting called to do that, it's patrol, it's firefighters, it's EMTs to help block all those intersections. So getting into the mutual aid, this is where our partners down in Rochester, Olmsted, Dakota County come in, because hostage rescue takes a lot of manpower, and we don't have that capability alone. So that's why we have to have a mutual aid thing signed with Rochester and all of them to be able to operate in that kind of mission. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So because of how the training standards are, and I don't know if it's in this PowerPoint, maybe it's something we should add. It actually lays out what you can do or can't do as far as an emergency response team. So the only way we can actually do a hostage rescue, they call it like an emergency response, meaning that somebody's lives is in extreme danger. That's how we can operate on that. But if we can, we have to try to get other teams to be able to succeed on that mission. And that's kind of coming from the training standards that are out there. So terrorism response, not so much. We kind of see it in some of your bigger cities and all that, where the FBI, the federal agencies, all that are involved in that. A lot of times that does become local. We've had the U.S. Marshals, the ATF get a hold of us. They've used some of our assets on some operations they've done within our county or Wabasha County. So it is out there. It does happen. We've seen it. But a lot of times they're sending in their own teams for that. We're just kind of there to help if they need it. Civil unrest, George Floyd, we can get into more of that a little bit later here. And operations with extended operational windows. So anytime you have like a barricaded person, you don't know how that's going to go, how long it's going to take. You can't expect me to work for 24, 30 hours straight without having any type of rest and those high priority incidents. All right, so that's when we have to have teams on standby, ready. Maybe they're getting their rest and everything, and they're going to replace us at a certain time. Then we'll go get our rest, we'll replace them at a certain time. So all this stuff has to be thought about and planned, because you never know when that's going to happen. So the communications unit leader, that's Captain Chad Steffen. He is in charge of our dispatch and our emergency management. I don't know if he talked last week with you guys at all regarding the emergency operations stuff, but
Well, he did the introductions last week, so.
did he? Okay. Yep. So Captain Steffen, he is our communications unit leader. So a lot of times when we have whether it's a planned response team operation that we're doing, or something that just happens where we get called out to, usually Captain Steffen is responding. He's going to take care of all of the dispatch communications part of that event. Within that, in his unit, we have incident tactical dispatchers. INTDs is how we refer to them. So we have 2 dispatchers that come train with us annually, and they're both sergeants within our dispatch unit, and that way they kind of see the tactical side of things and how it's handled compared to versus the patrol side. So we have a dispatcher that is solely attached to our operation, which has really worked out, because then it doesn't take away from dispatchers that are trying to handle the patrol operations going on, because we can't just stop doing that. So that has been a big asset to us, and also on that side of things, because as we know, the regular departments and all that are still out there working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And once we try to have an operation with those dispatchers trying to handle that and handle all the 911 calls coming and everything, it was just too much. So this has been the last couple of years, this has kind of helped, and we've seen some good changes for that. These are my favorite people. I try to buy them lunch whenever I can. The tactical emergency medical support are medics, right? So if anything happens to me, I get shot, something like that, those are the guys that will be taking care of me. So I try to stay on their good side. So tactical canine, I can talk more about that here in a little bit. Mechanical and ballistic breaching. Those are just the types of tools that we use and the difference between them as far as how we can gain access to, whether it's a locked door, a barricaded door. We have different tools, and I think, Jen, do they usually get to go down and look at the Bearcat and everything?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll talk more about that. That's more the hands-on stuff, which is the fun stuff.
You
We'll
have to
get
pass
down
the
to
written test in order to drive it, though.
Okay. So precision rifle operator, this is just the standards tactical term for it, a sniper, right? So it's just somebody that goes through a lot more training, has to learn a lot more stuff than just a regular stuff, because yardages, windage, all that kind of stuff all comes into a factor on what they can do, can't do, and they have to take separate qualifications that are nationally kind of a standard that they have to pass. So we'll show the robot later on. We'll show the Bearcat, the armored vehicle, our crisis negotiations team, big one too. So whenever emergency response team gets called out, a lot of times depending on what kind of situation it is, our CNT, crisis negotiations team, is also getting called out with us. There are people that have gone to specific training on how to handle situations that involve barricaded subjects, things like that. So I like talking, I like people, I can do it too, but they actually have a training, and it's a big group thing where they're all working together, they're writing on notepads, they're trying to figure things out, trying to make that situation come to a great resolution. Alright. Recreational division, that's our water patrol, snowmobiles, ATVs, all that kind of stuff. Goodhue County, we're blessed with a lot of great natural landmarks and waterways and all that. But with that also comes a response to be able to respond in those areas. Alright, so the one thing we haven't, and we've talked about that we're going to start doing in the future here, is we haven't done much with the water. Alright, so but with the amount of stuff that's happening now, I don't know if you guys have seen that all these cruises that are now coming through the Mississippi River, you've probably heard of all that. It's a matter of time that we're going to have something that kind of happens, and we're going to have to be able to respond to it. So that's now something that we're putting in.
Like what? I mean, somebody jump off the top of the boat, or?
Well, no, so that's just, that wouldn't be an emergency response team response,
No.
but I'm saying, let's say somebody is,
Capsizes?
no, has a hostage or something on one of those river boats, right?
That's what I wondered.
Yep, so we have to be able to get to them and be able to know how to board that boat. That makes sense? So a situation like that, which,
Just gives you an idea.
Yeah.
From just saying,
yeah,
something
which,
could happen.
you know, you think about it, we can handle it anywhere on the land, you know, but we've never thought about the river. So, it's just an idea, you know, houseboats, all
They've got
that.
a lot of good water people, I mean, the boat.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just something that's never happened, so we haven't really thought about it until recently. So, and then our small unmanned aircraft system, the SUAS, that's a drone. So what you guys would know as a drone. So we do have a couple of those within the sheriff's office. And we have utilized it on several operations. Mutual aid, meaning we request help from other people. The State Patrol, they have an airplane, helicopter. They assist a lot just on patrol functions, but also for emergency response stuff. And we train with them, usually annually, we try to train with them. Bomb teams, Bloomington and St. Paul, the two closest to us, that's who we usually keep on standby, or if we have any type of situation that we might have any type of explosives, we'll give them a heads up and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is when it's going to happen, we may need to call you. And so they're just kind of on standby. We don't have them come all the way down here because you just never know if you're going to run into that or need them, but they're available, ready. They kind of know what's going on already, so that way if we do make the phone call, they're kind of aware of the situation. Hazardous materials, emergency operations, that kind of falls into Josh's thing still too. We train for all that to be able to respond to the nuclear plant if there's like a hostile event there. So it's a lot of training that we go through in all different types of training based on what we have in our county. Explosive breaching, they won't, I tried to have asking for us to do that, they won't send me. Too much liability, which I don't blame them. There are a lot of response teams and SWAT teams that do have that capability, because there's times when people do barricade and it's, you know, you just can't get in, right? Whether it's hostage rescue, you gotta have that type of thing. Dakota County and Rochester, they're our two closest. You know, we're in a great place where we're between both of them where they can be here pretty quick. So, and then the fire support function, one of the best training days that we've ever done is learn how to be firefighters. So, and you just never know when a situation is going to be, and we kind of had it happen in Pine Island where somebody barricaded and started their house on fire, right? So we have to be able to respond to that, to be able to get the best outcome, right, to save lives. So,
Can I back up and ask a question about
Sure.
the bomb team? A few years ago, they have threats in schools and stuff. They didn't come down. It was who would look for the bombs?
Yeah.
then? I mean,
So-
remember? I remember when they had
Yep.
bomb threats.
so you may get, you know, a lot of times it's funny because you can always like put it with either colleges or schools
Yeah.
where it's like exam time, right?
Right.
You know,
well,
or something's going on, or
something's
I need to get out of
happening
school.
that's- Yeah.
So that's when you get like the note written on a bathroom wall or something, or notes found in the school.
How serious do you take it? I
Well,
think you
so the
have to
thing
take
is you have to take it seriously, right?
serious.
Yeah.
Unless you find the actual person that wrote the note and said, yeah, that's not true or whatever, you have to take it seriously. And the way we can do that is, from the canine side of it, if there's, you know, something where they say, you know, there's a bomb to blow up in the school at so-and-so time, right? We can run a dog, right? We have good working relationships with St. Paul, Rochester. We train with them a lot with canine too, not just the SWAT stuff. And they'd send as many dogs as we requested.
So I was gonna say, dogs are specific for just smelling
Yep.
for
So
that.
they run the dogs, and if it's in a school, you could get 5-6 dogs there, and probably have that school checked in about 20 minutes. So, depending on how big the school is, you know, schools around here in our counties, probably 20 minutes. You could probably have that school pretty much. I would say within the hour, you're confident that there's nothing there. So.
I guess we haven't heard about them as much as we did
Yeah.
10
Yeah, no,
years ago or so. Or
You know, I don't know the last bomb threat we had. It was up in the Cannon Falls School District. I remember because I was working, and you know, we had a couple of the Rochester dogs come up and sniff, and we determined that it wasn't, you know, an actual real event. So, and that was kind of nice because it was after school hours, so nobody's really there anyway.
Yeah.
So we were able to clear that whole building. School's ready to resume the next day. It didn't really impact, you know, the learning and all that stuff where kids are getting displaced or anything with that. And that kind of stuff too, emergency operations. I mean, they work with the schools and that kind of stuff too on, hey, how many buses do you need? You know, what can we help you with? Some pictures. This is actually at one of our call-outs over in the Lake City area. We were kind of on a standby for a little while there, and some kids saw it. You know, so we're doing nothing new. We might not take a picture, let them see what we do. All right, so our Tactical Operations Command. We have a commander, a lieutenant commander, our INTDs, and then our TEMS and mutual aid, whether that's Rochester, Holmes, that we talked about. So that's just kind of in the command center, right? So I said when there's everybody, things get called out, those are the ones that are all kind of in here making decisions. Based in Goodhue County here, we have 2 teams, and it's not like we have 2 different teams because we have a lot of people. We just break them down into 2 teams based off of how we do stuff internally. So our Alpha team, that's primarily our entry team, our quick reaction team that is going to be the ones that respond into a house or whatever we need to do. And that made up of 1 team leader and 5 operators. Right now our numbers are kind of down, so we don't actually have this many people still on the team, but we're replacing those and getting numbers back up here. Bravo team, that's more so of your team that's going to hold that inner perimeter like I kind of talked about, right? They're on, you know, if I could draw on a thing. So this is the house, or the area that we're going to. Patrol will have, we'll say, you know, if this is another blocks and all that kind of stuff. Patrol will have all this area locked down. We're talking about another thing in here that we use with just the SWAT team as an inner perimeter that we call it. So we'll put people here so that there is no way this person, whoever we're dealing with, can get outside this and outside the other perimeter. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when we refer to that Bravo team, that's kind of what they do. They're kind of that team that is on the outside, while the Alpha team is dealing with the house. So in the event that the Alpha team goes in and they're doing something, they're gonna get on the radio, or if they need more operators or they request Bravo team, then they'll start breaking down that Bravo team to go inside the house with them. So we're all trained the same, we all do the same thing, it's just a matter of 2 different teams just based on what that mission is. So that's kind of how we do it. The Tactical Canine teams, which I'm one of, I'm usually going with the Alpha team, and depending on the situation, maybe the Bravo team, right? If it's not anything that the dog's gonna go inside on, we'll stand by in the outside role, just in case somebody runs, flees, depending on the situation. A lot of times, that canine is with the Alpha team going inside because, you know, if we get somebody barricaded, I can send the dog up to see what room they're in, where they're hiding, get that alert, which kind of helps out. And then the sniper, that's all mission dependent as well, alright? So if we're in an area where we may not have a good area to put a sniper, we don't need a sniper, that individual just comes with whatever team he needs to go on, alright? And then our TEMS, so that's our medics. We usually have medics with us no matter where we are. So the medics will be integrated into Alpha team, they'll be integrated into Bravo team, and they'll also be with others where they need to be, alright? Because I give those guys so much credit because they're there, they don't have any weapons, nothing, they are just there to provide help. Whether that's for the suspect, for me, for any bystanders, anything like that, they're with us. They're going in on every entry, whatever they're doing, we have somebody usually with us. So if something happens, they're there to help immediately. So, some very brave individuals, and those guys are, we have 3 of them from the Red Wing Fire Department and then 1 from Mayo, the hospital. So, some more, kind of the boring stuff, but this is kind of how we're made up. So, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, they kind of oversee a lot of things. We have called them in recently in Pine Island. We can talk about that later on here. And then we have our incident command. So right now that's Major Mike Johnson. I don't know if you've met him yet, but he's our incident commander. And then it kind of just breaks down from there wherever we need to have them. So I'm not going to go into all the crazy details on this if you guys just want to take a little bit to look at it. But this is how things kind of break down for us. So just a little chart.
So this will not be on the test, right?
No. I could tell you, I could put all the names together. I just couldn't put it in that thing either. So, nope, that'll be not on the test. So, but all the functions that we've talked about so far, crisis negotiations, all that, they're all different things that are very important situations. We see it all together. Like I see like the actual togetherness of it. This just shows it how it is, right? So you have your negotiations team, you have your tactical operations, which is different than your regular incident command, because let's say an event happens in Red Wing, the emergency response team gets called out, the Red Wing Police Department is actually incident command, emergency response team will just be the tactical command. So Chief Rohr, whoever's incident command, or the sergeant on duty, they're actually kind of in charge, right? They can kind of decide what they want to do, what's going to happen. We're just there to provide that tactical support if they need it, if it got to that situation. They can't dictate how we do things, but they can say, this is where we're at, and then we decide on what plan we're going to go from there. So, yeah, Tactical Operations Command. I don't know if we'll go back. The Tactical Operations Command, that is just the tactical side of things, not with dispatch, it's separate. They're just in command of what the emergency response team is doing. Alright, so here's a picture of kind of working on some entries. Annually we go to Fort McCoy in Wisconsin, which is a base down there. You probably drive by if you've gone down 90 or 94 there, down by Sparta, Tomah, Wisconsin. We go there annually for a week, and they have training facilities that we can only dream of having in this area, right? So it's not just us, there's SWAT teams there all year long. And they provide a free area for us to go. We stay on the base in the barracks. Relatively cheap for the county for us to go down there. And we have all these different areas that we can go train that we don't have here, that we can kind of really hone in our skills. So this is just, this is Site Search Tactical, this little area. And just this, we hate this because inside there's a lot of different doors, hiding spots, all that kind of stuff, which as an entry team and everything, it gets kind of tiresome and all that, but it's great training for us because on the east end of Red Wing, we see a lot of these kind of small houses with a lot of doors. So, just another picture there. Here you can see kind of us making entry into an area. You can see one of our canine officers, Matt, he is running his dog into the initial area. And this is kind of how you see things are. We're kind of a dynamic team where we don't have a lot of numbers, but we're very good with what we do have. So right here, we're letting the dog kind of do the work, and usually this is your team leader right here. He's kind of overseeing everything and kind of making decisions based on what is going forward. And this is just some more pictures. That's our armored vehicle we'll take a tour of here in a little bit. These are, well, actually Ambush is retired. Gamble is now one of the new canines, and then my partner Halo here. So, all right. So the precision rifle operator, the sniper, very important piece because he can give us a lot of information as we're coming there. He kind of sees like I would call it like the 25,000 foot view, right? He kind of has a overall picture of like the whole operating area that we're in, and he can see things that I may not be able to see if I'm up close to the house, but he can see from a distance, right? Or he can see somebody moving a window that I may not see on a different side. So strategically, we kind of put the precision rifle operator in areas that we may need some assistance on a good overview of what's going on. So he's usually, we call forward deployed, where in the event that, tonight if I'm at home, I get called out, he's probably one of the first responders to get there and get eyes on what's going on. So, which it kind of says in here, yep, he's providing that up-to-date, real-time information. So I may respond here, or depending on the situation, we may set up a post, close to the actual area that we're going to. But usually our sniper is usually there already getting information and intel, providing that back to us. So that way we can kind of put a plan together on what we want to do. Most important people on our team right here. They, I call them the miracle workers. They are ready for anything. And some volunteers from, like I said, the fire department. This is Doug. He's a doctor over at Mayo. He is strictly volunteering. He doesn't get paid, nothing. He is just on the team to help out and provide his medical knowledge. So, hats off to him. Mayo doesn't pay him, nothing like that. They allow him to be on the team and work under their kind of medical care and everything, but he is strictly on a volunteer thing. So a lot of times when he's coming to our SWAT camp, he's coming to our trainings and all that, he's taking days off of work to come be with us. So we're very grateful for that. So, like us, we go through a lot of training. They also go through a lot of training. Their medical stuff is a lot different in the emergency response team role than it is actually as a paramedic for the Red Wing Fire Department. So they're already, when we get called out or we have missions or warrants, whatever we're doing, they're preparing everything for the event that the worst happens. Whether that's where's the ambulance going to be, where's the helicopter going to land, where are we going to meet up to get an officer out of there or a suspect out of there in case something happens, that is what they're planning. So they have a big role in all of this just as much as anybody else. Kind of talked about the dispatchers and all that. We have the two dispatchers. They're on different sides of the schedule. That way, in the event that something does happen and they're working, they can separate from the regular 911 calls and be able to be a dispatcher for the operation.
So what do they, to do that, do they just take a geographical area and any phone call generated in that area goes to a different dispatch?
Nope, they just strictly are only there for the operation. So they won't answer 911 calls.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're, our dispatchers, they are great multitaskers. I could never do their job.
Okay.
Alright, so they're looking at computers. You got, me calling in saying, hey, can you get me this? Can you do this for me? You got somebody else, and out of all the people working, they are just sitting there making everybody happy. On top of that, they're taking all the phone calls, the medicals, 911 calls, all that kind of stuff, and they're doing it all. So we saw where it's just too hard for them to be able to worry about a major operation going on and be having the 911 phones ringing and all that, and so it's good that they can separate. And they have to go through a little bit the INTDs, the dispatchers have to go through special training to be an INTD officially through like the state and all that, but it's not anything that they can't handle. They both did very, very well in that training. So, all right, so our team training. So we train monthly. We get about 8 to 12 hours a month that we're able to train as a team, and that's all barring that everybody can be there. Hopefully, depending on with COVID, it was interesting trying to get everybody there, being able to train for several months. We weren't able to do that, and that can really hurt a team like this because we really need those training hours to stay kind of up on our missions and our tactical stuff. Like I talked about before, Fort McCoy, we go down there, annual team training, we're down there for a week, usually about 40 hours. That's what the time cards say. Usually we're putting in a lot more than that, depending on, and I'll get into some of our equipment and stuff, but we start early in the morning, we don't end until about 10, 11 at night usually. So, and then all of us, we all go kind of do individualized trainings, whether that's we need somebody to be really good at breaching doors, things like that. We'll send people to try to get better and bring that back to the team, whether that's less lethal stuff, pepper ball, which I can show more of the hands-on stuff and talk about. Special individual certifications, like for me as a canine, I have to make sure that my dog is up to par for the SWAT team. Not just any canine can come in and handle that. With all the trainings and stuff like that, all the different gear, it's hard for canines to really be able to just come into that role. You have to have a special dog to be able to handle that. Luckily, we do have some great dogs here in our county that can jump in and handle that. So that's a lot of training. So I have to certify every year with my canine partner, which allows me to stay on the SWAT team and all that stuff too. So on top of everything else, I have to handle the canine stuff too. Yeah.
So does the dog come with you to work almost every day, or?
Yep. Yep, if I'm ever getting in my squad car to go to work, the dog comes with me.
So where's he now?
Down sleeping in the car probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's here on duty, I
Yep.
mean, she's
Yep.
working.
Yep, she's working.
We actually have a canine day next week, so
Okay.
next week you'll meet Go Ham's dog.
And you can meet Halo when we go downstairs. I can show you Halo too later on here. And this is at that house again where we can get some great training in. You know, they obviously didn't care. They're starting the house on fire anyway for the fire department. They allowed us to knock doors, do whatever we needed to do to really hone in our training. Unfortunately, I'm the small guy. Usually I'm the one going up the ladder. So, actually I think that's me up there on top. But it's just, the ladders require a lot of people that are coordinated and speed. And then you obviously need somebody to hold it. So, but it's just how it is. And I understand it. I just know that's my role. But we do train it. So that's what you see here in the picture. We're working on a lot of, there's a door right up here, which is another, what we call another breaching area, right, where we can get into the house. So that's why we're kind of training that. In case they see all these other doors are barricaded, there's another option that we can get. So. Oh, yep, there it is. So we take tests too. So every year we just take a whole 6-hour block to take our test, right, to show that we still remember what we're doing. That way we have it all on file, that we've gone through the trainings, we know what we're doing. And it's our least favorite training day of the year, but it's just usually try to save it for the winter time and just knock it all out then. So media action drills, those are something we're doing monthly. And like they have in there, it's very similar to training for a football game or a basketball game. You work on your plays, right? We work on our immediate action drills, which is entering into houses, working on clearing houses, being up to date on all of our less lethal tactics, whether that's canine assisted searches, using the pepper ball. We work on that stuff every month. So, and the one thing we do a lot is this. It's reality, scenario-based training. Everything we do has a purpose, and it's all scenario-based. That they put us in a situation we have to make decisions, because that's what we have to do out there. All right. And then we debrief it all. We talk about it all. What went well, what didn't go well. Every time we get done with a training day, we always have our improves and our sustains. What do we need to work on? What did we do well? And those are documented, and we just put down everything that we need to do. A lot of times, I'll get into some of our gear and everything. It's equipment, or it might be communication, whether that the radios are failing or something. It's stuff that we need to work on and prepare for, because it has happened on some incidents. So, yeah, that's it down here. So after action reviews, that's what we call them, hot washes. We're critical of ourselves. We're making sure we're giving you guys the best people out there for what you need us to do. So, just like anything, we learn from our mistakes, learn from others' mistakes, and we improve. And this is what I kind of had briefly talked about earlier. The National Tactical Officer Association, NTOA, that kind of provides a guidance and the doctrine for what we kind of operate under. So they say usually 16 hours a month is what normally is what a SWAT team should be trained in. So granted, with us, we can't get that, doing staffing and all that kind of stuff, but we're close. So and they can see that. So then kind of more locally, we have the Midwest Special Operations and Training, that's Minnesota SOTA, that they put on trainings and conferences annually as well that we can go to, send people to. I think we have one coming up here because of our incident down in Pine Island that we recently had, that we'll be giving a briefing and everything on up at the SOTA conference for everybody. So that's where, you get all the majority of the tactical teams in the region. They talk about what's working and what's not working. Everybody kind of brainstorms, and they have debriefing or debriefs, similar to what I'll talk about in the Pine Island deal here as well, and see what worked and what didn't work and how we can improve. So, school buses, like I said, like the waterways, something that we know we have to train on. School buses, incidents involving children, all that we're prepared for. We learn about how the school bus operates, how we can shut that thing down if we need to, so we can immobilize it, how we can gain access to it. We call those linear assaults. So whether it's a train, a bus, those are all linear, not much room for movement or failure. So anybody that comes on our emergency response team, we get all these, and that's a lot of reading. Everybody's required to know what's in it and why. The operation standards, that's just for the, like we talked about, the NTOA or Minnesota SOTA, and then these are what we have in Goodhue County alone. So the operator's manual and our TROG, the response and operating guidelines. So they're both probably this thick. So it's you know, and honestly, it's not so bad. It's just a lot of it. You read it, you learn it. I'm more of a hands-on kind of guy anyway to learn things. So that's just re-emphasizing what we're already doing in our trainings. So it's documented why we're doing it, what we're doing, and then we just train on it. So room clearing, high risk warrants. This is kind of our more in the emergency response team is activated. Usually it's for high risk warrants. I would say annually we probably have, I would say 10 to 12 situations that we're called out for, whether that's the high risk warrant service or something that's happening on patrol level and it's kind of happening now, and then they call us out. High risk warrant service used to be a lot more, but it was always for narcotics. That makes sense, right? So throughout the national standards and everything, SWAT officers, cops, and then they were getting shot just by serving narcotics warrants, right? We kind of took a step back and said, are drugs necessarily worth that, right? We're involved in a shootout with somebody and all that kind of stuff. So we've taken a step back from that. The only time we're actually going on these warrants if it's actually needed, not just because there's narcotic sales or anything like that. And I think there's some slides on here. I kind of looked at it briefly before I came up here, but if we're going to a high-risk warrant service, it means that that threat level is that high, that it's not just because of the narcotics or anything like that, it's because of the other threats that are there. So we're not really big into just going and doing these warrants just for narcotics alone. So, and I think he's got more of that in here.
Do you guys loan that vehicle out to like Red Wing or anything like that, or no?
Yep. So usually
I had I don't know what the incident was. Probably like 4 houses down from me a few weeks ago. That car was there. They were doing some warrant. They had everybody out.
Sure.
And they had the street, the whole block blocked off from corner to corner.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So here's how kind of, and we'll talk about it more when we get down there and show you the Bearcat. Whenever we hire a new officer, whether that's with Red Wing Police Department or the Sheriff's Office, they are given kind of an introduction on how to drive that, or kind of what it is. Because there's no reason to have something that is that capable of keeping people safe sitting in a garage if it's needed, right? So everybody needs to know how to use it. So it's not just for the emergency response team, it's actually a rescue vehicle for anything. And honestly, we've used it quite a bit for snow emergencies, where our squad cars can't get to people, but that thing can, you know? So, and people love it. You come roll up in that thing and, hey, you need a ride home? And they just start laughing, right? You know, because there's room in the back, people to sit and all that. So it is truly a rescue vehicle. You know, we've used it for that situation, and it can get through a lot of stuff that our patrol cars can't. So, so it's not just the emergency response team thing for that Bearcat. There's a lot of other reasons on why that vehicle is such an asset for our department. So here's kind of getting into the rural, the woodland operations. Goodhue County, like I said, we're pretty blessed with some of our terrain and all that, with the natural resources we have around here, but it also creates kind of its own monster within going and finding somebody too. So we train it, we're ready for it. We have a good understanding of a lot of the terrain we have here. And like I stated before, kind of earlier, we also have a recreational division that we do train with annually that provides kind of their assets as well, whether it's a four-wheeler, side-by-sides, boats. They haven't, the airboat, I keep asking for that, but they, for some reason, won't let us get on that thing. One day, hopefully they'll let us get on this airboat. Less lethal technology.
Mike, can we take a little break?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Stretch our legs a little bit.
Stuff getting, cause we have to go through it too, and, I can tell you, that's no fun. I'd rather get tased over sprayed, because the spray stuff just doesn't go away for a while. And so we try to stay away from that kind of stuff because it affects everybody, not just, the suspect. So it all depends. It's all situational, mission dependent, but we're not a big gas team, I should say. Kind of what they kind of refer to it. So, yeah, here's our canine as part of our less lethal contingencies. This is just us training. Obviously decoy in a bite suit. Here's my partner Halo right here. We just train in case we have that suspect that we need to take down, whether it's open fields in a building. We're just ready to handle that. So our poor tactical medics I talked about earlier, they're usually the guys that are
In the suit.
in the suit. Yep. So yeah, that way that's why I'm telling you, those guys are kind of the MVPs of our team. They go through everything for us, and they become our actors when we need them to be. And they have one of the most important roles on our team is saving lives. So here's Halo. This is kind of just that's one of our little decoys. I'm sure that one of the medics didn't want to take bites anymore or whatnot, but we're just utilizing other things to be. Oh, I know what we're doing here. We're actually shooting, whether it's pepper ball or less lethal beanbag rounds or our 40 mil launcher stuff. That way we actually get how we would actually do it on the street. The dog is experiencing that as well. So these are actual live rounds that we'd shoot. You can kind of tell, and I'll get into more of that training stuff. You see kind of the blue tape and everything. Those are just ammunition rounds. Those are training rounds. And they still hurt, but just things that we utilize. Now the dog's kind of aware of actual sounds that are going to happen in the event this does happen out on a call. So low and no light operations. Unfortunately, we just can't flip a switch and nothing happens after dark.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. So we do train for it, all right? And somebody had talked about FLIR and stuff earlier. We do have that capability. We also have the IR spectrum, which is more so of your night vision, things like that. When the State Patrol helicopter comes down, they also work under the IR spectrum so that they have like a little IR light that they can shine down that we can see through night vision. I mean, they can, for you it'd be completely dark, but for us under night vision it almost looks like somebody turned that switch on and it's now daytime. They have a big spotlight they can turn on and put in an area that we can see. Not to mention they can do a little laser as well. So there's actually a funny video out there. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. Apparently it's somewhere around here where the State Patrol helicopter was overhead. I was under night vision, kind of guiding the rest of the people. They're shining a little laser of a guy out in the field. What you don't see under night vision is you don't have any depth perception. So when I'm looking at this little laser walking, there was a little drop off about 10 feet into a creek. So you just see me and my little white, FLIR under their cameras and stuff, see me walking, and then just see me go into water. So
Ouch.
it's all part of the thing and all that. It's just something that, you just working under the low light spectrum and all that, those things happen. So we try to train for it. We try to get better. I can tell you I look down a lot more. So that doesn't happen again, but yeah. So we train for it. We try to use our white lights as much as possible because that gives us the best type of image for us, right? We do have this other capability. We're not at the capability that we really want to be at, but we're getting close. A lot farther than what we were a couple of years ago. So, and this is just some of the equipment that we do. So this is under the night vision IR spectrum. So this is kind of what you see, what we see. I wish it was that clear. I mean, it somewhat can be, but that's a really good picture. And this would be your thermal imaging, your FLIR. You just see the silhouette, right? You can see somebody's out there. It works based off of heat, kind of like right here. So this is actually a canine team, and they're going through the woods. So, and I'll get into the equipment stuff here in a second. But this little thing is called a PEC 15. We get them from a program through the military, which they're refurbished, and they allow us. I mean, they're probably a couple $1,000s a piece. But that's what they provide to be able to be at the capabilities we're at. So those are needed for the IR spectrum. community kind of thing here, looks like. Alright, let's talk about this stuff quick. That is not ours. But it's kind of showing, like, so a lot of times, we have one coming, right, Jen? We have a new command center coming?
Yes, it'll be a couple of years, but yeah.
So through a grant, we got a new command center, which, whether it's tornadoes, disasters, hurricanes, tsunamis, whatever we have up here, it'll be something that we can deploy out and kind of be like this, where everybody can get together, kind of this whole thing up here on wheels. Alright, so we got that through a grant, that's coming. We have something similar, you know, Red Wing's got their little command vehicle, but we have a trailer right now. It's just so hard because it takes a 1-ton truck to be able to pull that trailer, and it's really hard to do for somebody to be able to get the truck there, get the trailer hooked up, and get it to where it needs to go. So this is more of like what we're going into is actual kind of like an RV thing. So we do still have the Humvee. That was through that program I talked about with the military. We just have to keep paying for the mechanics, the upgrades on it, but it was no charge to us. It has to go back to the military when we're done with it. But it's we use it as our rescue vehicle to get injured people out. I don't think, no, that's at a different location, so we won't have that here to look at, but there's no armor on it. Alright, that's just strictly a vehicle that can get into some off-road places and get people out if it needs to do that. Kind of like a transport. We no longer have this. That new thing is replacing that, so that's gone. That was donated by the BCA years ago. Actually, probably relatively when we started the emergency response team. So, some of our equipment, I'll get more hands-on with this. I'll just kind of give you a brief thing. This is what we call our breacher pack. So we bring this with us, and that helps us get through doors, chains, locks, anything that we need to get through. Somebody usually has it on their back, which I'm no longer the young rookie anymore, so luckily I don't have to carry that much. So here's our robot. I can show you that too. It's good. It provides another asset, another tool for us to use, but it also has its limitations. So, like anything, you try it, sometimes you can't get any further. We've had it where a guy's picked it up and thrown it outside, you know, so walk it back up and try again, you know, and but it's just another tool that we have that we're able to try to do our mission, which is to save lives.
So what does it basically do? Take pictures, show you what's right in there?
Yep, you can
I
get
mean,
audio,
doesn't-
we can talk through it, we can
Okay.
see video. I mean, the video, you know, this robot is now, technology's advanced since then, so I mean, it's not the greatest picture, and like we talked about, you get into a building like this, it has its limitations with the concrete walls and all that, where you don't get good feedback from it. So, it's all dependent on kind of where you're at. Here's a lot of our less lethal equipment that we have. This is called a 40 mil launcher, and that just shoots little sponge rounds. So it's a less lethal thing, a tool that we can use to maybe try to de-escalate a situation. Pepper ball, which is exactly how it sounds. There's little pepper. It's like food-based. It's not actual like chemicals or anything like that. It's just pepper, and it kind of creates that thing of you cough. It's not fun to be around. And I can probably get one out. I can throw it on the ground, and you can just kind of smell it if you want to. It's not anything bad. I'm just saying, it's just something that it kind of just gives them that uncomfortable feeling, right? Another thing saying, hey, we're serious, just stop. Let's, de-escalate. Let's lethal shotgun that shoots a little beanbag round. We're kind of getting away from that because that also has its limitations, and you have to have certain distances with all these, and that's just not one that really creates a big asset to us. These other ones, whether you're in the woods, you can shoot that around trees. If somebody's inside that room in there and the door's shut, you can shoot underneath the door, and it kind of helps still provide stuff for you. Beanbags and stuff like that, they don't do that.
What would you use for riot control?
What's that? Yep. So all these would be utilized for riot.
Yeah.
Yep. So any crowd-based thing, you can use all these. The tasers, it's pretty much the one shot deal and everything. So it's not a great thing for the crowd control stuff. But
So if you use a taser once, then you have to recharge it, or what do you do?
nope, it just has only one cartridge.
Oh,
So
okay.
yep. So you have to.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So, stinger ball. This has like little rubber things inside of it. Just kind of you can throw in an area where maybe they're concealed or barricaded. You can try to get them out of that area with. And
It's
then,
like a hand grenade.
well, it's not, but it looks like it, I know. And then flashbangs, which is like that sound diversionary technique. We don't use those all that often. So
Say that again, what is that?
it's a sound diversionary. It's like a flashbang. It's something that
Goes booming.
yep you can just throw and kind of creates a big boom.
Supposed to disorient you.
Yep, just disorients you.
Little
And like I said, we don't use those. People, like I said, the TV shows and all that where they're throwing them in every room and all that kind of stuff. That's not true. So you have to be accountable for everything that we do. Anything that we pull a trigger on, anything like that, we're 100% accountable for. All right. So all these have different things and what they're needed for and why we do it. But with these, you have to be very careful, right? You're not going to put anywhere there could be kids. You're not going to put it
You're gonna roll
anywhere that could start anything on fire, stuff like that. So, like I said, it's all situational dependent, but it's very rare that we do actually use them. So this is the Bearcat. The Lenco Industries makes them out of Massachusetts. This is also obtained through a grant. We got this probably back in 2017, I want to say. Was relatively right? No, about 2016 when I kind of started on the emergency response team. We had just gotten it, so huge upgrade to what we have, and actually what we had. It was called a Peacekeeper. That was also through the military. What they found out with the Peacekeeper is it actually didn't stop rounds. So a lot of people were figuring that out on calls, unfortunately, and those rounds were penetrating through that armor. So huge upgrade to us, and it only costed Goodhue County, I want to say, it was like $45,000. And typically that vehicle is probably, I want to say, in the ballpark of $400,000 or so, depending on what you get on it. Because we do have the nuke plant, we did have to get some other accessories on that, because if we have to go into the nuclear area, there's, and I can show you inside there's a air system in there that we can hook up to be able to provide us to go into that area or to get people out. So
A closed system.
Yep.
Cool.
Do you
Yep.
have that at the fair?
Yep.
That one?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
That's what I thought.
some of our operational summaries. These are
Should've taken a picture.
These are just activations that were kind of called in or we were called out for. These aren't actual warrant service things that we've done. So 2021 we had 4 activations. 2022 I'm trying to think of how many we've had. At least 3 or 4. So like I said, if something's happening on patrol level, a sergeant on duty or whoever's in command of that area or whatever can say, hey, we can't handle this. This has got to be something where somebody's more trained to come in and do this. So what they do is they'll call dispatch. Dispatch will contact the emergency response team commander, who will say, okay, ask all these questions. And he says, yep, let me consult with other people. And then they'll get back to him and say, yes, that's an activation. So when that's said, there's a lot of times that people request us, but it doesn't meet the criteria where we're actually gonna get activated. All right, it's one of those last bit of things where it's like, yes, they need to go. So we try to do every other thing that we can before we get to the point of actually activating the emergency response team. Because as you know, in the public, you start seeing us come out and all that stuff. It's a little bit different of a thing. So what happens is sometimes that call will come through. We'll get what's called a WARNO. It's an abbreviation for other stuff and everything through the military. But it's just basically telling us that you're on alert. So a lot of times, a lot of us are involved with activities outside of work and all that. Kids stuff, it's where you get this WARNO and it says, hey, this is what's going on. It's a brief synopsis of kind of what's going on, where it's going on at. And basically, if you're not home, maybe try to get home. Or start to get in the area where you're going to be able to respond. So WARNO usually gets to the point of, hey, we're not activated yet, but we're almost, this is what's going on. And then we'll get the activation after that. So ERT members working on duty. Right now, I am the only ERT member that is working on this side of the schedule at night. So, not just for the county, but for Redmond as well. So, a lot of times, things are happening, and I'm already making that call to our commander saying, hey, this is developing, or if I'm responding to it, I said, hey, this is what's going on, this is what I know, and he'll be like, okay, I'll start letting everybody else know. So, but other than that, we usually try to place ERT members throughout different patrol units. Usually there's about 2 per patrol unit for kind of these situations. A lot of times, as an ERT member, I can come into that situation and say, yep, we will not activate on this, but we can handle it. You know, we're trained to be able to handle that situation better than maybe patrol could, and kind of take over from there. So, yeah. So on duty, we do to the point of maybe where activations could have happened or should have happened. Us on duty that are on the SWAT team and everything, we've been able to de-escalate that situation and handle it without actually activating the whole team. So that happens quite a bit. So I would say out of probably some of these numbers you're seeing, you could probably do another handful of those that were handled by ERT members that were actually working on duty that night or day. Here's just stuff in the media that, you know, you kind of see a lot of times the stuff we do actually isn't in the media. Usually when things are in the media, it's either bad or whatnot, but you can kind of, if you like some reading material and all that, you can probably look up some stuff if you want. But we are, you know, it's not just little stuff or wars and stuff, you know, there's shootings and things like that we've assisted on, so. So this is the Peacekeeper. This is the old, and it is very small. So, but that's what they eventually learned that didn't actually hold the rounds out like it was said to. So there's getting a lot of those that were getting shot and everything, and it was actually hitting people inside, which not a good day because those rounds, if they get inside there with the steel and everything, it just bounces around. So like a pinball. So it's just not a good situation. Some more media stuff here. So here, like we talked about, the bomb people on standby. Grenade launcher was something that was seized and stuff in one of our operations, and some Facebook stuff. Deputy Hopschulte over here, she's in charge of that. She does a great job of informing everybody and more of the public relations side of it and everything. And
So I have a question
Mhm.
about Lake City shooting. Do they now take domestic calls more serious since the officer got shot?
yeah, I talk about Officer Schneider in Lake City.
Yes.
Yep. I was working that day, not with Goody County or McCann Falls when that happened, and yeah, I think anytime you have domestic assault, you take it seriously. To the point where it escalated to that point, I would say is only 0.00001%. A lot of times, we get on scene as patrol and can de-escalate that situation. A lot of times they maybe already be separated or that person has fled the scene or whatnot, but that's just a very tragic situation altogether, but we all know how domestic assaults are, right? It's a crime of passion, and you come into that situation as an officer where you're coming into a pretty heated thing and you're trying to be the best you can, and unfortunately sometimes it escalates to that incident that happened with Sean. So yes, it's anytime we have that kind of escalation, everything, that would be an ERT activation. And as far as how domestic assaults are handled, we just try to be the best advocates we can for the victims and try to get them the help they need, and try to even get the suspect the help, you know. So.
Are you guys a little more cautious?
No, I wouldn't say that we're more cautious on a domestic assault. I would just say that we train for that kind of situation. So, not just whether it's domestic assault, it could just be, you know, another situation that happened, not domestic related, and yeah, that's kind of an older picture. That's let's see. Yeah. This is Captain Voxen. You'll probably be hearing from him, the investigations unit. He's no longer on our team or not anymore, but all right. Yeah. So this is kind of what we share with other police departments and our department and everything is. What's the best course of action? Do we really need to have the emergency response team come out? What have you tried? What can you do? This is all kind of a checklist that we can. Some things to think about: the safety priorities, the mission priorities, priorities of life. Those are all things that we take in effect anytime that we're going to try to activate the emergency response team. And we just have it documented. We have been where we've been called out to Lake City one time, where we got there and we started asking a little bit further questions, and never actually even tried like talking to the suspect or calling him on the phone or anything like that. Where they called him on the phone, he walked right out. So, you know, he just got all of us there, and they didn't try some of the things that, you know, we'll say, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried calling the suspect, not answering? You know, because in that situation, he answered the phone and came right out. So there's things in place that we try to teach new deputies or patrol officers and everything. A lot of times we'll go and give this presentation to other departments in the county and just say, hey, this is what we expect. If this is what you get, give us a call. Like I said, a lot of times we're working. You know, there's an emergency response team member that's on duty that can start helping them out through that process. So, and this is kind of the main thing we asked them, the 4 C's: contain the situation, clear it, control it, and then call us. So, if they've done all that, then we can start making a decision if we need to do that or not. And like I stated before, this is the threat assessment. There's a lot that goes into it. So anytime investigations is going to do a search warrant on a residence or a person like that, they have to go through a threat assessment. All right. So if there gets to a certain number on that threat assessment, then ERT has to be activated or it does not. Right. It's all kind of based on the commander. So you could have somebody at a residence where they're included in that threat assessment on the residence for the search warrant, and because that person is there, that threat assessment is 20 times higher than what it would be if he wasn't, right? So in the event that that person leaves, that threat is not that high anymore. Make sense? So you wouldn't actually have to have the emergency response team go into that house if he's not there. So in times that we do that, it's like, hey, okay, threat assessment is high. Yes, we're probably justified to go there, but if we know he's not in the house at the time, then you don't need us. So we try to mitigate that as much as we can. All right. So a lot of times they'll have eyes on the house. He leaves. That's when they go. So. And this is a lot more to it. Like I said, it's a long, a lot of papers, a lot of documentation. And that, like I stated before, suspect specific. So they'll do it on the house and they'll do it on a suspect. If he's not there, then that threat for the house isn't that high, right? So.
Alright, so since we have 45 minutes left or so, we'll just talk about scams and frauds. So this is actually a presentation that I give all around the county. I go to churches and stuff like that and talk to people. So obviously everybody gets these phone calls all the time, right? Here, how to do this. What's he using?
Is there anything at the podium? Because every time he flipped it, he was staring
He
at
was
it.
using the mouse.
That works. So in the past year, countywide, we had 392 fraud reports, 22 forgery reports, and then 40 internet crimes that were reported. According to the FTC, one study showed that only 4.8% of frauds are actually reported. So from the ones we're getting, it's not even 4.8% is what we're actually hearing about. So the number is much larger. We had one victim that reported a loss of $200,000. According to the CNBC, Americans lost over $29.8 billion to phone scams in 1 year. So I'll go through some of the cases in Goodhue County. So the one where the victim lost $200,000 over 3 years. She was contacted via Facebook by a mail that said he was an orphan college student in some other country. He basically convinced her, hey, I need $200 for books here, $100 here, and everything just added up. And then the thing that finally tipped her off was towards the end, he convinced her to invest $10,000 into a gas company, and he promised her a $30,000 return. When that didn't happen, she was like, "Hey, wait a minute." Then the lights went off. Yep. Then she realized that, and then she went back and did all the math, and it was $200,000 over 3 years. We had a victim that lost $4,000 to a phone scam. They received a call from Amazon saying their identity had been stolen. The Amazon agent said that he had to pay in Target gift cards to get his identity back. Amazon doesn't want Target gift cards. Amazon cannot buy your identity back. Identity stolen. What's that?
My mom got one of those.
Yeah. Did she fall for it?
She gave me her social security number,
Okay.
and fortunately nothing ever happened or came from it,
Yeah.
but now we're like on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody had their identity stolen from a phone call. They received a phone call from somebody that claimed to be from Social Security. We get those all the time. Social Security Administration does not have time to call people. If they want to contact you, they will send you a letter. They don't make phone calls. They don't have time for it. They told the victim that a vehicle that was registered to their name was located in Texas with drugs inside of it. They told the victim they had to give their name, date of birth, address, last four of their Social Security number, and the name of their bank. Usually this is followed up with somebody that claims the victim they have to pay a bunch of money, so there's not warrants put out for them. So in order to clear your name, you need to pay me all this money, and then we'll make this all go away. So. A victim that lost $800 in a texting scam. So he received a text message from somebody that said, "Hey, this is Pastor so and so." It's really easy to find out what church people go to and the names of the pastors. So I got the text. The scammer said, "Hey, I'm hanging out with some cancer patients. I don't have my wallet on me. Can you give me some Apple iTunes cards, and then I'll pay you back when I get back to the church?" And the guy, the victim, went along with it. Yeah, sure, Pastor, whatever your name is. Yep, take my money. Afterwards, he talked to the actual pastor and found out that was not him. So. A victim that lost $2,500 in a phone scam. They were contacted from somebody from PayPal. Do you guys use PayPal at all?
Mhm.
Yep.
No? Yeah?
Yeah.
No? So the victim was told that she needed to pay some bills, and the payments had to be made through gift cards. The scary thing about this is that the victim never even asked what the bills were. The person that called her just said, "Hey, I'm from PayPal, you need to pay some bills. Send me some money," and she did it. So, we had a victim lose over $2,000 in a phone scam. They received a phone call from someone who claimed to be a Red Wing Police Department officer. They told her that she was under investigation for fraud. She was very scared at this point because she worked in real estate, and so any allegations of fraud would put her license on hold.
Sure.
So they went after that fear factor there. So they said, "Hey, there's a warrant out for your arrest. You need to pay this money or you're going to jail." So the victim sent the money via Venmo. We don't take Venmo.
No.
We don't take Venmo. We don't take gift cards. We don't do that stuff. If you're going to take care of a warrant, it has to be through the courts. So, a victim that lost $1,000 in an email scam. It's similar to the pastor one. Got an email from her friend who said she was looking for gift cards for her sick niece. She sent her some gift card numbers. She found out later when she called her friend and learned that her friend's email had been hacked. So somebody actually hacked somebody's email, tried to scam people, and it worked.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did any of these people recover their money?
They most often never do.
I wouldn't think so, but I thought I'd
It's
just
sad.
ask. It is
It's
sad.
really bad. They're getting really good these days.
They are getting good.
Social engineering, and a lot of your information is already out there, honestly. They
Yep.
can buy and sell your info for pennies on the dollar these days. It's
Yep.
crazy.
They know that I'm treasurer of the Goodhue County Fair, and I'm getting lots of
I bet.
emails and texts from the supposed president, and then I call him, and then we
Yeah.
laugh as I respond. I told the last one he was full of shit, and it was a scam, and he didn't text me back
Oh.
after that. He only wanted $2,500 to be sent to through either Venmo or a check.
Yeah.
That's
That was the
all?
last one. The other ones, he just says, I have an emergency for you. Almost sounds like the pastor one.
Yeah,
I always think it's a man, but it could be anybody.
it could be. Yeah, it really
Could
could.
be a little kid sitting there doing that.
Right.
Who knows? And if they would get just one
Right,
person in the time frame, they've made their
right.
whatever pay.
So this was an interesting one that we had. The victim lost $80,000, and a lot of it was in cash.
Holy smokes.
So she's paying bills on her computer, and the screen went black, and all of a sudden a little pop-up that had her savings account number just popped up. And shortly after that, she had a phone number popped up that said it was from Microsoft, and it said, do not turn off your computer. So obviously somebody had managed to hack into her computer.
Ooh.
So the victim called the number that she thought she was calling Microsoft, and she was told that she was hacked by a party in Russia, and that over $45,000 was stolen from her. She was told that the FTC and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Office, which I don't believe there is a Financial Crimes Enforcement Office,
Doesn't sound right.
were getting involved. So she was contacted and told to go to her bank and withdraw $45,000 in cash. And here's one of the big red flags. She had to tell the bank teller, if the bank teller asked, it was for home improvements. So they're telling her to lie. Okay, that's a huge red flag. If they ever tell you to lie or tell you not to tell anybody about this, huge red flag. And then she actually had to go meet somebody at a location and give them the cash.
Oh.
So she went to this location. A person pulled up, said the secret word. She handed over the cash, and off the person went. The victim was then told to withdraw $30,000 from her bank and deliver it to a different person at a different location. So same thing. She showed up to this location. Person pulled up, gave her the password. She gave him the money. They took off. After that, then they requested a picture of her driver's license, and he told her to go withdraw $5,000 and purchase gift cards, which she did, and gave him the numbers. And then he requested her full name, bank account number, routing number, and address of her bank. And finally, at that point, is when it was able
It
to get
took all
cut off.
that.
How did she have that much money? No,
Yeah, right.
She doesn't anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And she never recovered any of that.
No,
Are these older people?
most of them. You would think typically yes, but now we're kind of seeing that younger people are falling for this stuff.
You didn't have a grandma one on there. My mother used to get all those.
Oh, I'm
from
getting there.
grandma.
There's more.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, she'd get them all the time. I
Yeah.
don't have a grandson named Michael. I mean, they even told her Michael.
The grandparent scam, yeah.
Oh God.
This one we've seen a couple times. Where basically people will get a threatening text message, and a lot of times it'll have like pictures like dead bodies that have obviously been murdered, disgusting pictures. Basically, they're just accusing them of. I mean, you guys can read it. I don't know. Can you guys read it?
Not really.
Yeah. So basically, he received a text message that said, "This is Jim Rodriguez from the MS-13 cartel. I just want to know how you plan to solve this damn problem, be it better or for worse, because your family's in danger until you reach an agreement. Okay, you wasted one of my girls from the whorehouse,
Oh.
and you calling her, and that's priced at cash. Don't try to turn off the phone or lock it because I have everything in your family. And if she does one of those things, you know, a lot of it doesn't make sense, but that was word for word what that person had typed. So the next message listed as family members, which you can get off Google, like that's easy to find who people are related to. And then it had pictures of people who looked like they had been brutally murdered. And then the next one said, "This isn't a game. Tell me how you want to end this problem today. Making the payment of $1,500 for wasting my girl in my organization, or you want your family to be responsible for this problem." They continued to send more pictures of deceased people that are covered in blood. And like I said, we've seen this more than once in Goodhue County, and it's just
Really?
block them. Nothing ever. It's a scam.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I can see how it would scare somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That also puts at risk your. I get these police, whatever. They want money all the time. Is there such a thing wanting money for the police? Some kind
The
of
National Police Foundation
Yes.
or whatever it is. Every time they call me, I say, you know what? I work in law enforcement, and I've never seen a dime of this money, and they always hang up on me.
I
So
have words to say too, but
yeah.
I won't say it.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys make enough money. Sorry, I don't
Yeah.
really mean it, but that's what I say
Yeah.
to the person.
Yeah, right. So the grandparent scam, anyone can be a victim, doesn't matter your education level, plays off your emotions, not your knowledge. Oftentimes the con man will say that there's a bad phone connection or a cold or some kind of injury, or they'll be crying so you don't wonder why they sound different. They want you to act quick so you don't have time to think about the situation. They'll know details about you, about the person they're pretending to be. A lot of times, they'll call and they'll be like, hey grandma, hey grandpa, and when they say, who's this? Oh, it's your favorite grandchild. And a lot of times the grandparents will say a name. And then that's how they get a name. The caller may also pretend to be the police, a lawyer, or a friend trying to help the grandchild. That figure probably wouldn't work. Oh no, here we go.
Hi, Grandpa. Hi. You know who this is? Rusty? Yeah. What's the matter? I've been in the car wreck. Alright, Dad?
Sure sounded like him on the phone. I'd have sworn a stack of Bibles it was him.
Orville and Dorothy Shanafelt of Portland, Oregon, thought they were talking to their grandson Randy, and it sounded like he needed help.
Are you awake, Dad? My ribs and my jaw. That's why I'm talking the way I am.
The con man convinced them to drive to a Western Union and wire him $550 that he said he needed to get his car out of the tow yard.
We'd do anything to help any of our grandkids.
He even convinced them not to tell anyone else in the family.
Grandma, I don't want Mom. I don't want nobody to know. We won't tell your mother that.
How does the scam work? First, the con artist searches the telephone book looking for old-fashioned sounding names.
My victims were Dolores, Dorothy, Ruth, Alberta.
Sheriff's Deputy Holly Hasse says the cunning con artist tricked dozens of grandparents into giving him their grandson's names.
Hi, Grandma. Who is this? Your favorite grandson. Really? Yeah. What's the matter, dear?
There is a relationship between grandkids and grandparents that grandparents, they aren't going to ask a lot of questions. If their grandkids in trouble, they're going to do whatever it takes.
Is there any way you can take a cab to the bank? Go to the bank. Yeah? And it'll take me a little while because I use the walker. I know you use the walker. Well,
In my book, a wimp, a spineless little wimp. You just don't harm children, and you just don't take advantage of our senior citizens.
So where was the person who was scamming Grandma and Grandpa out of their money calling from? Well, you may not believe it, but he was calling from right here, a county jail in Portland, just miles from their home. That's right, the caller was an inmate, Stephen Lee Brown, and he was having the victims wire the money to his relatives. Luckily, all inmate phone calls are recorded, and the scam was exposed. Unfortunately, a lot of these crimes are
Yeah, so that one.
What an idiot. I think you're not gonna get caught. Jeez.
and it's happening all across the country.
It was a perfect setup, and these people knew exactly what they were doing.
Edward and Irene Kellerman, who live outside of Cleveland, Ohio, fell victim to another con man who has never been caught.
You felt stupid that you were taken by a scam. I mean, this is foremost. Secondly, you're embarrassed.
The phone scammer convinced them he was their grandson Brian and got them to drive to their local Walmart to send a $3,000 MoneyGram.
We have a close association with all of our grandchildren. We would have done it for any one of them.
It really hurt. I mean, because we're retired, we live on Social Security, and a couple small dividends.
Back in Oregon, I played the Shanafelt the tape of the con man who tricked them. He's now serving a 17-year sentence for elderly fraud. But they still think the crook sounds just like their grandson. Even listening to this now, you still think it sounds like him.
Yes, it does. Wouldn't it to you?
hi, Grandma.
There's a special place in hell for those people.
Yeah.
Hi.
So another one is a bank account scam. Starts by a phone call, somebody claiming to be from your bank. They ask if you made a transaction in a random place. When you say no, then they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna block this transaction for you so it doesn't go through." So they get your trust. Then they ask, "Hey, just to verify that it's you, I'm gonna need your member number." Once they have that, they can reset your banking password. They'll usually at that point, with the number, they'll reset the password. They'll say, a lot of times it'll text you a code. And they'll say, "What's the code you just got on your phone?" You give them that code, and now they change your password. Yep. So then they read off some more legit transactions to gain your trust. Sometimes they'll ask you for a PIN number. Once they have this information, they have all your money. There's a texting scam. If you receive a text message from your bank or Amazon, it says your account has been locked. You need to click on the link to unlock it, or there's been suspicious transactions, stuff like that. They want you to click on that link. Takes you to a website that looks exactly like the website, but it's fake. You enter in all your information. Now they have access. They have your information. They have your member number and they have your password.
I've gotten a few of the bank
Yep.
ones, but I've asked my bank about it.
Yep. Yep. So anytime you get a text, I mean, don't click on links. There's another one. Oh. That's not working.
Northern Kentucky Inspection.
Lisa Shook manages a home inspection company. She just got a call from someone claiming to be their electric company.
He said he was due energy and that he was in the driveway to cut off our services.
She handed the phone to owner Rob Wells, who was told he was behind on his bill and would be cut off if he didn't pay immediately.
Yeah, $350-something, they're gonna disconnect the electric.
So this expert who normally inspects houses inspected his records and realized he was not behind. But it may have been too late. Someone emptied his debit card a short time later.
Everything got hacked, my credit cards, even my personal card.
But it's all a scam. Just like with all good scams, the caller makes it sound urgent, where if you don't pay them right now, your electric is going on. It's a call more and more people are getting. Last summer, it even targeted Donald Kincaid at this church.
Gas and electric would be cut off within about a half an hour because the bill hadn't been paid.
Lee Friedman says utilities will never threaten immediate disconnection.
If you're at risk of losing service, you will receive multiple messages over an extended period of time, bills, phone calls.
These callers will scam any home they can, even the Lord's house. Remember, the power company will never demand immediate payment, especially by gift card, money order, or Western Union, so don't waste your money. I'm John Maddox from PTV, News Channel 5.
That's one that we've seen a few times in Goodhue County also. There's a business in Red Wing that just fell for it, I think about 4 or 5 months ago. So they get around, so, and they're happening right here. The red flags of scams starts with an unexpected phone call, email, computer pop-up. It's always unexpected. You know what your bills are. You know where your money's going, right? It's unexpected. They demand secrecy. Don't talk to your friends or family about the situation. They may tell you to lie to your bank. If they're trying to get cash, they're going to tell you to lie to your bank. Or to the store clerk. Sometimes when they have you go to the store, they'll actually want you to stay on the phone with them just to make sure they can tell you what to say to the store clerk. And they also tell you that you have to act immediately. They want to scare you into making a quick decision. As long as they get your money fast, that's all they care about. So unexpected, secrecy, and immediately. The big red flags. So in order to protect yourself, do not answer phone calls from unknown numbers. I know you said that's not an option for you.
I didn't take two
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
because our Veterans Day supper's over as of
Yeah.
this weekend, and there shouldn't be too much stuff
Right.
at the fair. So
Yep.
I let a couple of them
Yep.
go.
So
Even
even
on Minneapolis.
when you answer, if you answer one phone call from a scammer, they automatically know that this is a number that somebody's going to answer the phone, and they will sell your phone number to other scammers. It takes approximately 6 months before you start seeing a decrease in phone calls once you stop answering them.
Friday I had 9.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody wants to leave a message for you, they'll leave a message for
Yep.
you. I don't answer scammer calls,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Don't know it?
Yep.
So I have a different one, and I don't know. My brother told me yesterday that the real bank called his wife
Mm-hmm.
because someone had tried to take $1 out of their checking account. And the bank really did call and said we reversed it because
Mhm.
then the bank then told them that once they find a real account that's really $1,
Mhm.
then they'll go take more. And I said,
Really?
"Ooh, that's a new one."
Yeah, I haven't heard about that one.
That one was yesterday,
Huh.
or sometime over the weekend, because he told me about it last night.
Interesting. I'll
Because I
have to
said,
look into
I
it.
don't ever want a debit card. The banker told me never to get a debit card.
Yeah.
You have to have a credit card, but can't have a debit card. I got a couple credit cards, but no debit. I don't, but it was a checking account that, I don't know if they got her debit numbers or whatever, but
Interesting.
Goodhue, Minnesota.
So like I said earlier, do not click on links that are sent through text messages or emails. Even if you think you know who it's coming from, call that person, talk to them, make sure it's actually them. It's so easy, like with the text messaging, to spoof a phone number. There's free apps anybody can download, so I can make it look like I'm calling you from the White House. I can have it appear that I'm calling you from dispatch. I can make it look like I'm calling you from anybody. So, yep. So, it's been a while since I've heard about this, but there's times when people will call elderly people with pretending to be like their children, right, using their phone numbers, right? Unexpected, asking for money, it's a red flag. So, in that kind of situation, ideally, we would want them to hang up and call that person back to make sure it's actually them.
Officers used to, when they would call you,
Mhm.
I don't know if they still do that, but when officers would call you back, they used to use a private number.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's
like-
just, yeah, it's up to the officer. I mean, I have my work cell phone, so if people want to call me on work cell phone, it's fine with me. So ways to protect yourself. If it's an unexpected call or message, hang up. If you feel rushed, hang up. Secrecy, or they're telling you to lie, hang up. And if there's any threats involved, then we want you to hang up immediately.
Then we should block them too, though, right? But then they just change
Yeah, they
to
just
a different
change the
phone
number, yep.
Now they've already got your numbers.
Yep. Yep. And just to be clear, law enforcement does not answer to companies that demand payment from you. So if a company calls and says you need to pay, or the police are coming to arrest you, that's not the way it works. I don't take my orders from companies, so I'm not going to come arrest you. I don't take my orders from the IRS, so I'm not going to come arrest you. If that's what they're telling you. Something that works every time. So if you get a weird phone call, hey, who is this again? Why are you calling me? Listen, I got a bad connection on my phone. I'll call you back. You hang up immediately. Look up the phone number independently. Don't rely on that caller ID, and then call them back and see if it was actually legit. Because I know a lot of elderly people are afraid, like, what if it really is law enforcement that's calling me? Well, if you have a bad connection on your phone and you're gonna call them back, like, they can't get mad at you, right?
Right. But most law enforcement know that these scams are out there,
Yes.
so that
Yep.
they're not going to be.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's the elderly people that are worried about it, and this is a way to kind of comfort them a little bit so that they are willing to do that. So, in a nutshell, I mean that's the presentation there. I think you guys already have all my information, but so what are some crazy any phone calls that you guys have gotten?
Amazon.
I get
Amazon?
10 a day.
Yeah.
I literally get 10 a day.
Yeah.
And I just got a call from Mayo Clinic, and they wanted to get, I'm past my appointment.
Yeah.
But they won't talk to me without me telling them my birthday and
Yeah.
my last name. And I'm like, why don't you tell me my birthday and my
Yeah.
last name, and then I'll tell you whether it's me.
Right.
And we can't tell you anything unless you verify that. And I'm like, well, we're at a conundrum, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I get so many. I think it is Mayo, but
But at that point, you could just call them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
set up that
if I was in a
appointment,
hurry to
so.
schedule that appointment, I would.
Yeah.
I had gotten an email from Amazon saying that somebody had just ordered 3 laptops,
Mhm.
and they were questioning it. So, and it was all, and it showed me the page and all that order from, and of course I went into research mode immediately
Yeah.
because they wanted me to connect to the next person so they could get my account information. And I'm like, no,
Yep.
let me do some research on my own first,
Yeah.
and realized that it took me about 30 minutes. And it was all that rush thing, and so I knew
Yeah,
that
we
the
need to
red
hurry up
flags
and,
were
we need
up.
to hurry up and stop this order before it gets shipped. We gotta hurry up and stop this.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I didn't give them any of my information and found out quickly it was a scam.
Yeah.
I've been seeing more and more fake websites.
Yep.
I was looking for a pistol, a
Yep.
Ruger, Mark IV, and they come in different colors. I couldn't find the blue one anywhere.
Yeah.
Finally, I found it. I was so thrilled.
It was a deal. It was
And,
too good to be true, too, wasn't it?
Well, no, the price
No?
was right,
Was
and
it right?
everything,
Yeah.
like, but they had it in stock.
Yeah.
So I was like, and then it said we discreetly shipped to your house.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, and then it says you can pay in crypto or what was the other one? It was either crypto or
Bitcoin.
Venmo, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, obviously it's either ATF bait or just somebody stealing your money.
Right,
but
yeah.
Either way, nobody's
Yeah.
shipping a gun to your house.
Right, yeah, no.
We get all kinds. I'm sorry. All kinds of emails. We got this important proposal for you. They're gonna give me $1 million. You know.
So you're buying dinner next time. then.
Yeah. This one isn't quite that one, but
Yeah.
I just happened to that was one of them this afternoon. But
Yeah.
the emails are, hello, could I talk to you about your website? Oh, I get that one at least 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Medicaid, Medicare,
Oh, I get Medicare too.
every day.
Yeah.
I'm
They
glad
don't
I-
have, they don't have time to call you.
Yeah, but they
Medicaid,
used to ask,
Medicare,
did you get your new card?
Yeah.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and so
can you
I
verify
usually-
your number?
Yeah, I usually
I said,
tell
you
them
know, I'm
it's
not
in
old
my.
enough for that.
I tell them it's in my closet. I try to keep them on the phone as long as possible. And
way
so
you-
I'll just I'll tell them, yeah, let me get it for you. And they're like, hello. I'm like, I'm getting it, hang
Yeah.
on. And I just kind of look it along.
Yeah.
I figure might as well waste some of their time.
Right.
You know? I'm on the phone all day long, so
Right.
yeah, might as well waste some time.
It's tough with elderly people.
Yes.
You know,
it is.
I'm noticing that my mom, she's fallen for a couple of them,
Yes,
and so
yes.
even though she's like, well, I wouldn't give out my socials, but she's at that stage in her life where she doesn't really understand what's going on.
Mhm.
She's, and so that's a problem.
Yeah.
And she's mad at Amazon for all of these iPads that people are trying to buy. You know,
Yeah.
she's noticed, like to stop it. She blames like companies, that are clearly not part of it. But
Right.
she's
Yeah, so it's
it's
tough.
touch and go with her.
It's tough.
Yeah.
She have a home phone then?
She has a
Mobile
cell
phone.
phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have some reminder sheets, and I'll print them up that people can keep by their phones, specifically for elderly people. So if they feel any of these, like if they're feeling rushed, it says hang up. Are they threatening you?
That
Hang
would
up.
be great.
Yeah, I'll bring those next week.
Thank you.
This
Yeah.
one's 10 million.
Wow. You're buying lunch for the rest of the program.
Bank
Yeah.
of Dubai, the Bank of America, and other mainline. I just keep
See, I
delete,
don't get a lot of
delete.
email stuff.
Oh,
Mine are all
the
calls.
emails
I get calls all day,
Mm.
but not too many email scams. Which surprised now that I'm thinking about it.
They might all just go straight to your junk folder too.
Yeah, that's true. And then I also,
I get enough of
since
that,
I
too.
switched to iPhones, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it, I get a lot of texts saying, hey, how have you been? And, it's from a number I don't know. Just
Yeah.
a lot of, like, are you going to go to the reunion? And,
Mhm.
and just, like, a lot of conversations.
Trying
And
to
I
engage
never, I never reply to them because
Yeah.
I don't know any of these people.
Right.
But, I suppose they're just trying to pull you into a conversation.
Yeah.
I need your help. Yeah, that's one. A reputable pharmaceutical company from Vietnam is in need of reliable info.
You gonna help them?
I don't think. I mean,
Oh,
we
come
don't
on,
need
help
any
them out,
further.
man.
I think get that 10 million, then you can help them.
When I get to 10 million.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just going
you know what?
out
Just
with some-
just start sending them each other's information.
Yep.
Here, contact this person. Contact this person.
I get enough phone calls of other crap that I don't really. This is.
Are you guys seeing any scams?
I've never personally gotten any calls, but I don't ever answer my phone.
Yeah.
But I'm well aware. But there's a guy that does. If you've ever heard of Twitch, they are like a streaming platform. You can go on there and stream whatever. Most people do video games. But this guy will call up these scammers all day, for 5-6 hours live, and just mess with them, put them through.
I've seen
scenarios.
YouTube videos where people do that.
I listen to it at work. It's great. It's so funny, and hearing them getting enraged and sometimes he's gone on some elaborate things where they've lasted weeks and weeks, and he's spent 10-20 hours on the phone with them.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And I'm so familiar with you hear all that. I could probably recite the script. It's insane. It's all the same thing. They all buy and sell the same script. There's certain variations of it, but it's all pretty much the same. Most of the hot thing I think is the Amazon. You gotta somebody purchased blah blah blah, and then they get to your bank, and then they can manipulate what you see on your screen to make it look like they credit you money. Like, oh, we gave you too much money. That refund scam or whatever.
Yep. Facebook Marketplace is another bad. It's a bad situation. When I'm on there and I'm selling something, I was trying to sell my brother's couch for him, for example, big ticket item.
Yep.
And so, depending on the area that you're in too, the scams are all the same.
Yeah.
And so they'll come on and they'll say, you know, I need your phone number so I can text you to verify that you are who you are.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you don't need my
Yeah.
phone number, and because then they can get into your phone and unlock things and stuff like that. But but like I said, like here in Red Wing, that's the scam. But in Arizona, it was a whole different scam.
Yeah.
And then in Wisconsin, it was a different scam yet. And it was like it's like these people are on a hunt for these high ticket priced items.
Yeah.
Just to try to scam you out of money.
Yeah.
And you have to weed through them. And Zell's a big one.
Yep.
Zelle, I'm gonna send you a link for Zelle.
Yep.
Well, my bank, the Zelle is through my bank.
Yeah.
So when it comes through, it's through my bank. But
Yep.
when these people send me a link on email, it says Zelle on there.
Yeah.
Zell's also irreversible.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you send anything to Zelle, it's
Well, it's
done.
a fake link too, is what
Yeah.
it is. They're trying to get your Zelle account.
Yep.
So it's like, I haven't fallen for it, but I'm looking at them like that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
That's a struggle when you're trying to sell things legit and you can't because there's so many scammers coming
Right.
through.
Yeah. They do that overpayment. If you ship it to me, and then you can keep some extra money. And
I actually called the FBI on somebody for that when I
Yeah.
was trying to sell an RV and they pulled that with me, sent
Yeah.
me a check, and I knew what was going on. So I called the FBI. They said send us the check, and I did.
I totally fell for one recently. I'd ordered something from Canada, and I got an email saying that my package was stuck in customs. It was $1.46 short, and I was like, I was literally waiting for a package. It's a DHL. I mean, it looked all legit, and I put my credit card number in there, and it was stolen.
Yeah.
And
Oh, no.
you know, and the package showed up, but I mean, it was just too coincidental.
Yeah.
That I was literally waiting for something from another country, and I get this guy. It's the only email like that I've ever gotten. You know, and
Yeah.
and that literally my card's canceled right now. I'm waiting for the new one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fell for it.
It happens. It happens.
Guilty.
Yeah. Here's one that'll give me 500,000 if I send him 5,000. Get it? That's a pretty good return.
The thing is with those is some of those people will get hooked, and like you were saying how they were bringing cash to
Yeah.
people here in the United States, they'll have people working jobs that they think, and they'll be receiving money, and then they'll send it to other countries, and
Yeah.
where there'll be like a money mule, and not even know they're doing it.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Meeting people with $30,000 in cash. That's just nuts.
that's
Yeah.
insane. That's what I'd want to call the
I
police
mean,
and say, can you
yeah,
please come
I
with
mean-
me?
Yeah.
Dude, for whatever reason.
Right. Walk out of the bank with $30,000 in
Yeah.
cash? I don't think so.
Yeah, and go give it to a stranger.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I'd be terrified. Anyway, sorry.
I thought email was worse, but text is getting worse now.
Yeah.
I mean, email's been for quite a while, but the text crap that you get. Anyway. Is that all for the night? That's all I got.
Well, thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad
If
you
we
guys
run
are
in the
here. Yeah.
ditch or
So
slide in the ditch, we can call you. You'll come out with
no,
that
I'm
bear.
going home.
Yeah. That bear thing and come
So
and pick
so
us
next
up.
week will be fun too. We got canine and then the narcotics investigation. So
That'll be
and
fun.
the one that's doing the narcotics investigations one, John Heineke, he's actually the one that just got promoted to right under the sheriff, chief deputy.
You
Oh,
got
Yep.
that?
Okay.
Good.
Yep.
Cool.
So
Beautiful, beautiful.
All right, well, thanks.
take some cookies for the road, because otherwise they just get disposed of.
Do we need a pass to get on that elevator, or?
Not to go down to the main level,
Okay.
only to go down to the basement.
That's fine.